everybody. Welcome back to the channel where today we're going to go through my Week 13 NFL tier list / power rankings, whatever you want to call it. Just kind of dividing up the teams based on the following categories. We got Super Bowl contenders, we got division winners, we got wild card teams, we got mid-playoff hopeful teams, then we got bad teams, and we got the absolute worst of the worst, the tanking teams trying to get top talent in April's draft. So before we get started and break it down team by team, please subscribe to the channel for more. I upload about 3 times a week here on the Brew Crew Nation 98 channel. It means a lot for me to get those subscribers up. But let's go and get started with the Arizona Cardinals, who got spanked by the LA Rams. You know, before this game, I thought they were a potential fun team, make competitive. I even picked them to win against the Rams. I thought the Rams were worse than what they were, but nah. The Cardinals are bad. And I don't think Kyler Murray is going to save them this season. They might even look to move on from him if they continue to perform like this and just say screw it and go with a new quarterback. But I don't know. I don't run the team. But right now, Cardinals, terrible. We put 17 points against the Rams. You're bad. Oh, Atlanta. Technically, you are winning your division, so you automatically get Division 2, even though you're below 500 and 5-6. All I got to say is Arthur Smith. Look what happens when you use Bijan Robinson properly. He had a ton of carries, had 2 total touchdowns, was involved in a receiving game, and you guys won. Keep giving Bijan the ball, and you will be fine. And please win the NFC South so I don't have to deal with you for tiebreakers because the Packers blew the lead against you in Week 2. So, Atlanta up in division. Baltimore eked out a close win against the Chargers on Sunday Night Football, but you guys are still Super Bowl contenders. You're, I think, currently the best team in the AFC. You got a complete defense. When that offense is clicking properly, you guys are one of the best offenses in the league. I still want to see it all come together more consistently, because that's when you guys can be absolutely dominant Super Bowl contenders, and I still think you're up there right now. So, up Baltimore, you're up there. Team that's going to mid, Buffalo. I feel bad because I know talent-wise in your performance against the Eagles this week, you should be higher than mid. But right now, you're still on the outside looking in on a playoff berth, unfortunately. Might be too little too late in terms of making it in the dance because it's a very competitive AFC. But, man, you guys played so well against Philadelphia. You probably should have won that game and out for some ref calls as well. And so, Buffalo, mid. But you guys can easily get on a wild card tier depending on how a few teams play out. So, yeah, you're there. Carolina. Terrible. Absolute trash. Garbage. You just fired your head coach. That's how bad you have been. So, yeah, you're staying down there in tanking tier as the last team in the thing. Next up, we got Chicago. Even though you're 4-8, you guys look terrible against the Vikings. Only scored 4 field goals, won 12-10. And you guys are a bad football team. But you won and made your draft position a bit worse. And you beat the Vikings, which helps the Packers out. So thank you, Chicago. But, yeah, you guys look terrible. Absolutely terrible. Another team I'm keeping in mid for this week is Cincinnati. You guys played decent against Pittsburgh. Offense did all right with Jake Browning against a really good Steelers defense. But doesn't give you hope to maybe turn this thing around or anything. You guys are probably going to be getting down into bad territory here soon because you guys are built for Joe Burrow. And without Joe, your season's over. And I feel so bad about that. So, Cincinnati is in mid. Next up, we got the Cleveland Browns, who stay in wild card even after their loss to the Denver Broncos. You guys need to figure out what you're doing at quarterback because now Deshaun Watson's out. Dorian Thompson-Robinson got hurt. You're down to P.J. Walker and maybe Joe Flacco as your 2 quarterbacks. And I feel so bad for this defense because that defense is probably going to be wasted by an offense that can't get going because they don't have a consistent, decent quarterback play in the room. But right now, you're still in wild card. I still expect you guys to make the playoffs, but it might get dicey for you down the stretch if you keep getting up turds like that on offense. So, next up, we got the Dallas Cowboys, who are in the top tier of wild card. They're better than some divisional teams, but it's just by the way it is. They're in wild card. Again, dominated an inferior opponent, did what they were supposed to do against Commanders on Thanksgiving, and so you guys are doing what you need to do. I can't wait to see you guys play the Eagles to see a real test for your team and see what you can do. That will really tell us if they're actually a contender or if it's just the same old Dallas team that makes the playoffs and gets bounced early. So keep doing what you're doing, Dallas, and you'll be fine. Next, we got Denver, who is in mid still because they're not in a wild card spot yet, but they're getting close. They won 5 straight games, completely turned around their season. Russell Wilson has looked solid, and that comes down a lot to Sean Payton's coaching ability, and it's really showing that he still has as a coach. It was really rocky in the beginning of the year, but that defense has been significantly improved. The offense has been consistent, and I think Sean Payton deserves a lot of credit for turning the ship around. Really shows what having an experienced NFL head coach can give you. So, good on you, Denver. Good on you. Next up is Detroit. Still in division tier, but man, you guys got spanked by Green Bay. I'll talk more about the positives for the Packers in the next section, but you got to do something about that defense because you were able to generate no pressure at all on the Packers offense. And that's concerning because you guys barely beat the Bears. You lost to the Packers. You still got a couple tough games remaining on your schedule. I still believe you're a playoff team. You're going to win the division, but more performances like that are going to continue to put doubt in my mind about you guys being a Super Bowl contender, especially if Jared Goff continues to turn the ball over and becomes a Jared Goof. But you guys still in division. I still think you're going to win the division, and you can still be a contender. But the past few weeks just haven't shown it on the field. Speaking of showing on the field, Green Bay moving up to mid. They're now 5-6. They're the first spot out of the playoffs. They looked good against Detroit. Jordan Love had a fantastic game. The receivers really balled out. The O-line had great protection. The defense got great pressure on one of the best offensive lines in football. And were able to put together a win. They got a tough challenge against the Chiefs, which they probably will lose. But the next 5 games are easily winnable. And so don't be surprised if Green Bay somehow makes it in the playoffs. I know, sounds crazy, but that's just the truth. So Green Bay moves up to mid-tier this week. Next, we got the Houston Texans dropping down to mid after a pretty close loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really close game. Almost forced it overtime with a game-tying 58-yard field goal. That was just short. C.J. Stroud put him on his back, got him in a close game to win it, / tie it. And so they're still in contention for the wild card. This upcoming game against the Broncos is going to be very key to determining if they will make it in or not. But still, for such a young team being in contention this late in the season is really, really impressive. Next, we got Indianapolis, who at 6-5 are the last wildcard team in the AFC right now. And that is such an impressive statement to make. Shows really how well of a good hire Shane Steichen was for them. Because with Anthony Richardson out, we thought they wouldn't do anything. But now they're 6-5. Gardner Minshew is playing very well. The only thing to say is that Jonathan Taylor hurt his finger. And we just got news today that he's going to be out multiple weeks due to surgery on it. So that might put a dent in their playoff ambitions this year. But I will say, they're playing good football right now. And that is really, really impressive. They got a good head coach. I think Anthony Richardson next year could be really, really special for them. So, good on you, Indy. Next, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, again, still in divisional tier. They took care of business against the Texans. They are right now first place in the AFC South. They're playing good football. Not quite ready to put them Super Bowl contender because when last time they played against a true contender like San Francisco, they got spanked. But continue doing what you're doing in Jacksonville. You might even get the number 1 seed in the AFC. And you're playing really, really good football. Next, we got the Kansas City Chiefs, who I am moving up into Super Bowl tier. Got off to a bit of a slow start against the Vegas Raiders, but they were able to turn around and really dominate that game after the first quarter, and really show that they're still can be really, really special when the receivers don't drop passes. That defense has been playing absolutely lights out for them, and that is a big reason why they're still in contention because that defense has been the best of Mahomes' career, and they're really help carrying the team a bit when the offense falters a bit due to bad receiver play. So Kansas City up in Super Bowl tier. Next, we got the LA Chargers. They're bad. I don't even know what to say about them anymore. They're just a very, very bad football team. Not quite ready to put them in tanking yet, but it's very clear they need a new head coach. Brandon Staley should be fired right now because Justin Herbert is playing good football and should have a better team around him, but yeah, they're just really, really bad. Next up, we got the LA Rams, who I'm moving up into mid this week. 5-6. They played well. They could make some noise here in the NFC if everything falls right. They still got a couple of tough matchups left. Not as easy as a schedule as Green Bay has left, but good on you, Rams. Good on you. Raiders, I don't know where to put you. I probably won't put you in bad tier. You're 5-7, 2 games below 500. You're very, very close to being mid, but I can't put that there. You're kind of showing your talent depletion right now. You had your 2 wins against the New York teams after you put Antonio Pierce at head coach. You're still playing good, solid football. It's just you're just being outclassed by superior teams now. You lost to Kansas City. No shame in that. You're still playing some good football, way better than under Josh McDaniels. So good on you, there, Raiders. Just don't mess up the coaching search in the offseason. Miami, up in division, absolutely destroyed the Jets. Granted, I don't know how to do when Tim Boyle's the quarterback, but you did what you had to do against a bad team. With the Bills' loss, you're getting closer and closer to claiming that division crown. Going to make the playoffs. You've been playing some solid football. Just show me against a contender that you can still do this, and then I'll put you in Super Bowl contention. But right now, good, solid quarterback. Next up, we got the Minnesota Vikings. Wild card tier. Still. But you're getting close to not being there because that was an absolute stinker of a game against Chicago. A few more of those and you're going to be out of the playoffs potentially because you got Green Bay and LA coming up behind you. And you need to be really, really worried about that. So, Minnesota, you're on thin ice. It was a good story with Josh Dobbs, but he has not looked good in the past few weeks. So, just keep an eye out for them. They may begin to slip here soon. That Kirk Cousins injury has really been terrible for them as he could have been an MVP frontrunner if he didn't get hurt and kept performing the way he was. So, Vikings still in wildcard for now. Still in tanking, the New England Patriots. God, that was an awful, awful game. That was a very, very, very bad game for them. They lost really bad. Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi are not the answers. There's no talent on offense at all. And that defense, which has been playing pretty well, just can't get a break with this offense. And so right now, New England, you're in tanking. There's not really much else I want to say about you. You disgust me. Next up is New Orleans, who are moving down to mid after being in division for so long. They're just kind of just middling around there. They lost to the Falcons. You don't really know what they're doing. The offense has not been playing well. The defense not playing that well either. They're just kind of like a very bland team. Not really much for me to say about them other than they're in mid. New York Giants, somehow, some way, I believe they have 4 wins on this season. I'm just going to double check that real quick. Oh, jeez. If they have 4 wins, I'm still going to put them in tanking because they're just god-awful. They're just a awful franchise. Let's see here. Yeah, they have 4 wins on the year. But even so, just because of how bad they play, they're in tanking tier. Have 4 wins. Tommy DeVito has been playing pretty decent. Honestly, better than Daniel Jones. And that is concerning because they paid Daniel Jones $120 million a guaranteed. And so, you guys are still awful. You're a terrible football team. You're basically just Saquon Barkley, and that's it. And so, right now, you're in tanking, and you're staying in there. New York Jets, bad. They're a bad football team. They got absolutely embarrassed by the Dolphins on the Black Friday game. They should not be starting Tim Boyle at all, and they're going to start him again this next week. He shouldn't be on the NFL roster. He should be selling cars or something like that. But, yeah, you're bad. I don't know how that defense is not in complete and utter revolt against his front office for not getting – when Aaron Rodgers went down, they should have gotten a veteran just in case Zach Wilson didn't work out. They did not do that, and they have ruined another season of good defensive play. And you got to wonder what they're going to do because a few more losses like this, and I don't think Saleh is gone. Joe Douglas might be gone too. Who knows what Rodgers is going to do? All I got to say is, we warned you, Jets. We warned you that this was a possibility. And Nathaniel Hackett is a bum that you just got in all of Rodgers' friends and could not, and you failed. You have failed, New York. And I pity their fans. They had such high hopes when they got Rodgers. And it all came crashing down in one drive. You do not deserve this, New York Jets fans. You do not deserve this. And I feel so sorry that it happened. But your team is bad because of your front office refusal to get a decent quarterback in after Rodgers went down for the year. And I'm sorry. Next up, the complete opposite land, Philadelphia. Still the number 1 team. Very close game against Buffalo. You got down early, but were able to come back. Had to go into overtime to win it, but Jalen Hurts, again, heated up when he needed to. Got the job done. The brotherly shove is unstoppable with that great offensive line. And you're still the best team in football. Only got one loss, which somehow was to the New York Jets. How did you lose to the Jets, Philly? But that's just me rubbing in salt. And yeah, because you've been playing really good football. So not much to say there. You guys, best team in the NFC by far. Best team in the NFL right now, too. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wild card. Somehow, some way, this Steeler keeps pulling wins out of his butt. They had 400-plus yards offense for the first time in 3 years because they fired Matt Canada. And I think this team can maybe make some noise down the stretch here with that rejuvenated offense. Kenny Pickett looked like he was freed. Had a good game against Cincinnati, which still has a great defense, by the way. Just because they don't have Joe Burrow doesn't mean that defense can't play good. And so, Pittsburgh, you got hope. You got hope. So, you're up there. Another team in the NFC that's kind of fallen off the cliff is Seattle Seahawks. They have not been playing well of late. They got a brutal stretch with 2 games against the 49ers, against the Eagles, and the Cowboys in 4 straight games. This can get really, really ugly really, really fast for Seattle. So don't be surprised if they get down to mid or bad here soon because, yeah, it might be ugly. Next team up in Super Bowl contention for me, San Francisco. They just keep, after that little losing streak they have, after their bye week, they have been playing fantastic football. This is the 49ers that we expected to see. And this week, we got a gem of a game with 49ers-Eagles. And I, for one, cannot wait to see this result because this will determine the number 1 seed in the NFC, I believe. And I think this is going to be a really big test for both teams. And this could really affect who's at number 1 in my power rankings next week. So, going to be a good game to keep an eye on. Another team in bad is Tampa Bay. They've been trying all year, but they just don't really have a lot of oomph there. Mike Evans is still playing super, super well, but not really much to say there. I mean, they're a fine team. They're not great, not outright terrible. They're just kind of blah. And so Tampa Bay is right there. Tennessee, what is your record? 4-7. You're on a bye week, it looks like. So Tennessee, I'm just going to put in tanking because they're clearly tanking to me. And so they're just kind of not great, kind of just trying to get a worse record. Another team in tanking is the Commanders, who I'm putting behind the Giants because the Giants beat them. And so the Commanders got blown up by Dallas. Not a really big shock there. They're just not ready. Ron Rivera's probably will be fired, and they'll move on to a new era because I think Sam Howell can be a good quarterback for them, but they need to get more talent on offense to really, really shine out. So that is my tier list for this week. In Super Bowl, we got Philadelphia, San Francisco, Baltimore, Kansas City. Division, we got Jacksonville, Miami, Detroit, Atlanta. Wild card, we have Dallas, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Seattle, and Minnesota. Mid, we have the Houston, Denver, Buffalo, Green Bay, Los Angeles Rams, New Orleans, Cincinnati. Bad, we got the Vegas Raiders, Chicago, Tampa Bay, LA Chargers, New York Jets, and the tanking, we got the Tennessee Titans, New York Giants, Washington, New England, Arizona, and Carolina. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you again very, very soon. Peace.